Well, I think the biggest question, good posting right there, how do you replace Paul George? And by the way, they didn't trade him. He opted out. He jumped as a free agent. He didn't even give them an opportunity to opt in, and then, as part of the opt in, allow him to be shopped somewhere else. So he really walked away. He signed a 4 year, $212 million contract. The big issue with Paul George, and we had talked about this before, they refused to give him 4 years guaranteed. After Kawhi Leonard agreed to a 3 year guarantee, the general consensus was, let's hold this team together. Let's see if we can make another run if we get everybody healthy. And then Paul George goes out and demands 4 years across the board in his pocket. And the Clippers said, absolutely not. So that's the burning question. You know, how do you replace all the things that Paul George brought to the starting lineup? Second big question for me, I'm sorry. I'm a big Kawhi Leonard fan. Would you please tell me somebody who's got chronic problems with his right knee gets clearance to go play in the Olympics with the whole NBA season to follow, considering he missed so much at the end of the season and his absence was so costly in postseason? I just don't understand the Clippers allowing that to happen. Next thing on the horizon, Russell Westbrook opted in to stay another year, but there's an agreement that he's going to be traded. I hear he's going to be in a sign and trade, and he's going to wind up maybe going to the Golden State Warriors, or he's going to go to the Denver Nuggets because they just lost their lead point guard, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who jumped to Orlando. There's another sign and trade that the Clippers are working on, and this is for a pretty good player, but this is a guy that's got a lot of controversy. His name is Miles Bridges. He scored 17 points a game, but he's had problems off the floor with domestic abuse. He sat almost a full calendar year. It's an issue. What kind of guy are you bringing in? The other issue is the price, and I'm not so sure I like this trade. The rumor is Miles Bridges to the Clippers for shooting forward Norman Powell, guard Terrence Mann, and draft picks, because you have to make contract values match. I don't know about the kind of citizen he is, and you're giving away, I think, a pretty good player in Norman Powell. And then on top of that, if you bring Powell in, I should say, if you bring Bridges in from Charlotte with his track record of problems off the court, they just got a guy who missed a whole year with problems off the court in the guard Kevin Porter from Houston. He was suspended for a whole year. He couldn't play in the league last year, just been reinstated. He wound up going to Greece. He got arrested. He got suspended for a whole calendar year. So you're bringing Porter and Bridges in, kind of tainted backgrounds there. And by the way, I have not met anybody yet of the media guys that I interact with that can believe the Clippers gave James Harden 2 years, $70 million, $35 million a season for a guy that's obviously in the twilight of his career and a guy that always fades in postseason play. So, John, I shot a bunch of three-point shots. I hit most of them. Give me your put-back rebounds to the comments about what's going on with the Clippers.
Yeah, of course you hit most of your three-point shots. Yeah, I like to see you out there playing horse, Hacksaw, at the Hacksaw Holiday Cookout. One of the questions I have is, why do we see sign and trade deals in the NBA when that dynamic doesn't really play as much of a role in the other sports?
Well, it's something that it fits the collective bargaining agreement, although there's a new thing called the CBA apron, which allows you to go above the luxury tax, but there's all types of restrictions. If the Lakers go above 188 million luxury tax, sign and trades go away. There's a penalty that goes away. The exemptions, mid-level exemption, the rookie exceptions, all that stuff goes away if you go over the apron. And if you go over the second apron, which would be like $200 million, you lose your first-round draft pick. So they've put this in as a cost control. Sign and trades have been part of the NBA more recently, but it's not something that's used a great deal. But here, you keep the player with the promise you're going to trade the player, and you get some form of compensation back for the player, like a Russell Westbrook. Maybe it's a number one pick, maybe it's a young prospect, maybe it's a bunch of number twos down the road. So sign and trades are part of the NBA's collective bargaining agreement, but that stuff is starting to go away because of the new, quote, apron rules that have just kicked in. And by the way, There'll be a couple Molson Canadians here at the side court if you want to show up, and we'll shoot threes and see which one of the old dogs still has it.
I would love that. That we should just do a podcast out on a court and have a great time. People would love seeing that one.
Hey, hope you're enjoying our podcast. It's brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers.